Today we have two guest speakers. First and foremost, Anthony. And then we have also David here, David Kurz out of Florida, and Anthony here is from Arkansas. Amazing people who've created a huge business empire behind them. They've been here for a few years with EXP specifically, but it's not just about EXP. It's about business just branching out, just doing a lot of other stuff, creating a whole bunch of other ways to just simply find ways to bring in the revenue from all the different angles. With that being said, let's get it right into it. Let's start with Anthony. Anthony, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Did we lose him?
There.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm getting a little
like
lag. I don't know if it's on my part or not. If you can hear me, but I'll roll with it. Anthony Dazet. I'm a primary market is Louisiana. I am in Arkansas now. And it's funny, man. I laugh how quickly. I mean, I've been in Arkansas less than 3 months, and people are now Anthony Dazet from Arkansas. But it's a couple cool things about that, man. Is that's how well I brand and market myself in my journey and things like that. Because whenever I go in, I kind of go into a market and embrace it and kind of show people a life that we could live doing this type of stuff. But New Orleans real estate, 16 plus years. Keller Williams for a long time. Joined forces with EXP Realty about 5 years ago, and living that interesting real estate nomad life now that I love to talk about all the time. So you guys will hear a lot more about that.
Sweet. Awesome. And then we have David Adam Kurtz from Florida.
What's up, guys? David Kurz here, hailing from southern Florida, Miami area. I run a great sales team down here with EXP Realty, which is pretty fantastic. We're also in Tampa, Orlando, and Northern Virginia. I've partnered up with another agent that's been a longtime friend of mine. Got her to join EXP. We brought Virginia in, and we'll soon be moving into Maryland and DC. I do a lot of coaching. That's kind of my passion. So yeah, it fits well with what we're doing with EXP and everything else that's going on. And I've written a couple books on real estate. I'm just having fun, guys. I'm having fun.
That's actually one of the biggest thing that I hear, or most common thing that I hear all the time with since being with EXP, is when you get to a certain level, it's really having fun. It really is. You stop you stop thinking about money. You stop thinking about it being just work. It really is just fun, because there's there's something behind all this, and eventually at the end of the tunnel. And it's just amazing how many opportunities we have and how many different ways of to bring income in just by being affiliated with EXP. So it's pretty cool. All right, with that being said, let me start off with Anthony. We're going to throw questions at you, and then if you don't mind, give us your response, and then we'd love to hear how David's response compared to yours as well. Cool?
Absolutely.
All right, first and foremost, you're both mentors, team leaders. Certainly, like I said before, you've been here for a while. You've created a massive team under you. There's a massive revenue because of that massive team that follows as well. I've connected with you because of the some of the clubs that we're in as well at this point in time. And man, you're just a ball of fire, both of you guys. With that being said, our first question today is, as far as you looking for a mentor yourself, at the end of the day, this is one common thing that I hear from everybody. Even the mentors have mentors. If I were to ask you today who or what that person was, or whoever that actually brought you into the business, if you were to name somebody as a mentor, what exactly did that mentor do for you, or how did they inspire you to do what you do today?
I'll tell you, man, is that I think the reason I'm in this business, I'll tell you exactly why, is that I got into real estate investing. And the reason I even got into real estate investing was a gentleman named Robert Kiyosaki. Everybody knows who he is, I'm sure. I'm a network engineer by trade, graduated from Tulane University. I was in the Army doing IT for a very long time. I went from when we were using typewriters all the way to built the network infrastructure, the secure email systems, all that fun shit that, the military is now known for. But while sitting in the server room, man, I grabbed a book named Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I can tell you, I'm like, this is interesting. I was GS-12, making about $165,000 a year as an IT guy, federal IT guy, in the Army. And it opened up the doors. So funny thing is, my section sergeant that I knew, I was a long time Louisiana Army National Guard after I finished my full-time military tour. And one of my guys was the chief master sergeant of the Air Force, good buddy of mine. He was a real estate agent. So I said, man, Chief Kirby, I said, man, can you sell me my first investment property? And he's like, sure, I'll sell it to you. And we've been showing me properties, and was really, I like Chief Kirby, man. Good dude. Still in the Glenn Kirby. He's probably he knows for some reason a couple of people in my Army career that got me into real estate unexpectedly, but they did. But he was one that I said, man, I love this guy to death, but we're not on the same page. Like I want that property over here, and he's telling me no, he don't like that neighborhood. I know. Look, I'm like, man, I know this neighborhood's going to blow up in 10 years. Go buy this property for $50,000. So I got my license. So that's the reason why I got into real estate, because I was an investor, and I said, man, I think I can learn this stuff, and then from there, man, I'll tell you, I have a very staggered mentorship program that I've built for my life, I guess you'd say. And it started with, got out the Army, got into joined Keller Williams Realty, and got into MAPS coaching. I'll tell you, MAPS coaching did wonders for me at the time, man. There was something there. I paid a lot of money to do it, but it grew into who I am. I was never a sales guy. I was always somebody who could talk. I was a good, friendly person, but that MAPS coach taught me what it was to the thing called prospecting. And I was like, so if I make these calls, I make this much money. And she's like, yes. Right. I said, okay, I want to be the best damn son of a bitch on the phone ever. And that's what I went after, dude. And I did. And still to this day, I mean, I talk about Malcolm Gladwell, $10,000 to mastery. I'm probably 25,000 into mastery or more with calls, prospecting. Mm-hmm. I tell you now, currently, like I said, staggered, head coaches, had all that fun stuff. Now a big mentor. Haven't met the gentleman yet. I really have never even talked to him, but Andy Fasella. I don't know if you guys keep up with Andy at all. That's one guy that motivates the hell out of me to keep pushing and being a badass at what I do.
Awesome. Just curious, how many years were you with Keller Williams before you switch over to EXP?
I think I mess this number up all the time, dude, but it's like 12-ish.
12 years.
I'm 12 Keller, 5-ish EXP. It's kind of all a blur, and it's crazy, man. Like I'm looking at Facebook and those memories come up. I'm like, holy shit, what house was that? How long ago? It's crazy. But yeah, about 12 years Keller. And, I just had one of my mentors right now, one of my current mentors, coaches, I had a discussion with her. And as much as I enjoyed what I did there was nothing wrong with that model. But dude, what I'm doing now, and we'll talk about that in detail, is so crazy thinking outside the box that it's just we're living that life that I couldn't live before. And that's so you can't. Yeah. I'm just not a guy that wants to sell real estate inside of a local market anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, going back to what we were saying, our business model just allows us to branch in so many different ways.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you can remember like the property you sold, from 4 or 5 years ago, I'm not surprised.
Dude, they had one pop up, man. It sold a lot of houses, okay, and I get that part, but it messed with my mind because I'm like, and I was like, it's that picture you post on Facebook, just listed, and I'm like, man, I have no clue what house this is. I don't even have a clue.
Well, that's because you moved on to the next thing already. You took the next big step.
Right.
Yeah. David, how about you? You have anybody in particular that you call mentor? Somebody you look up to, and somebody who guide you through to where you're at today?
I'll tell you that for me, it's been I guess a little bit different. Like Anthony, I was in the military too. I spent 9 years in the Marine Corps. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening to Anthony talk about how people encouraged him to get into real estate and things of that nature. And he picked up a book, read it, and decided he was going to get into, investing in the Army. Folks helped him with that. And, one of my passions has become helping veterans understand the use of their VA loan and investment opportunities and things of that nature, because it's just not taught to us. When you're in the military, they're going to do everything they can to keep you to sign up another contract with them, So they're not really pushing you to get rich with real estate, or build wealth or any of that good stuff. So that's become kind of a passion project for me. But I may have had a couple mentors in the military and things like that. And through growing up in real estate, I can't really pinpoint anybody that really said, I'm going to make an impact on your life. I think for the most part, I had this bullhead that just wanted to keep pushing forward. And I wasn't really listening to people around me. So I learned the hard way. And so now I'll find myself listening to a lot of stuff and reading a lot of different things. And, if I see Gary Vaynerchuk pop up on my YouTube, I'm going to listen. If I see Grant Cardone pop up on my Instagram feed, I'm a listen, because these guys, I find that they're most similar to me. The more just get out there and do this shit, kind of like, attitude,
Yeah.
And so I'm not mad at that. Like some people have like somebody in their life that truly impacted me. I think for me, it was a lot of people that just surrounded me and dropped nuggets on me that really just helped me grow and understand on my own. And, and I always say, if I could turn back time, if I could go back to when I first got my real estate license and I could start all over again, one of the first things I would do is seek out the baddest real estate team in the market and join them and get their coffee and get their donuts and whatever the hell they want me to do. Open doors, put up lock boxes. You need a post, dog? I'll dig a hole for a post, But I, if I was smarter back then, I would have done that. And I think, not upset with where we are in our lives right now, definitely. But I think I would have been light years ahead, much quicker.
Trajectory path would have been faster.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, definitely. Because when you've got great guidance, you can't replace that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I became extra passionate about coaching. Because I too am a former KW guy, and my KW office was a bit weak when I joined it. And so I started a team because I read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, So I read the Red Bible and and I started understanding what a team was and how to develop a team. So I built a team, and then I did pretty well at it. And so the TL comes to me one day and she's like, "Look, you're pretty good at this stuff and you're a people person. You're our new productivity coach." And I was like, "What's that?" "Here's the manual. Figure it out," And so I read this huge manual and I just kind of started tracking it. And I enjoyed that so much that I started to really focus on the idea of coaching. So I built a coaching business and I built a team through coaching. Just developing business through people is a passion for me.
Nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know what, David? I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I follow you and I see what you're doing with your team. It's a massive stuff. I mean, I'm not surprised your answer was that you couldn't think of one particular person who's your mentor, because it seems like, well, you are that guy who's leading the pack. So, who do you go to? Sometimes
it's tough, man.
Yeah. Sometimes that mentor I'm talking about is that person you're staring in the mirror.
Right.
Yeah.
Pick the path to fail forward, right?
What's funny about that, guys, is that like when I got into real estate and I joined my first, same thing. I went into a small market, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, because I kind of really hit the ground full time when I was after Hurricane Katrina, because I would have quit the Army and been full-time sales for, real estate if it wouldn't have been for Hurricane Katrina, because, Hurricane Katrina rolled up 2005. And all of a sudden I went active duty for 2 years after that. So I had to stagger that a little bit. But when I did, living in Baton Rouge, man, like you said, joined a badass team. Back then, when I got in, there wasn't really I think the MREA was written in 2003, 2004. People didn't really embrace a team concept to probably 2008, 9, 10, when like that market crash hit. But dude, it's so true, man. It's that now, like you have badasses like David that are sitting there saying, I want talent. I want somebody who's going to dig that hole. And man, and I tell people all the time, it would take it. Like I got a team that I've attracted in Shreveport, Bossier, Louisiana. And I'm telling these guys that are joining forces with, her name's Ashley Carpenter. I'm like, you guys are crazy. This woman sells 40 million in volume. She's willing to say, hey, come join me in my business. I'm going to crush it with you, and hit the ground running. So that's probably the best advice. And now I think I tell people all the time about like prospecting, that technology has almost made it too easy. Now I can pull up Mojo and I could press one button and call 400 people. Back when I was making prospecting phone calls, we had to research every damn number we had to call that day.
Yeah, but Anthony, you're talking as if somebody actually is going to press the Mojo button.
Oh, and that's the problem, dude. That's the problem. I'll tell you, guys, have y'all seen the movie Pursuit of Happiness?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
And I can't think of his name right now.
Will Smith.
Will Smith,
the real guy. Damn. Why?
Yeah. I got him from San Francisco. I can't think of his name either now.
Oh shit!
The stock trader.
Yeah. Well, funny story, dude. He spoke at Family Reunion one year at Keller Williams when I was there. And
I was there.
Yep. Dude, you remember when he held his finger up in the air and he goes, "You see that finger right here? And he goes, you see how it's tilted to the right?" And everybody's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I used to make 200, 300, 400 phone calls a day on a rotary phone."
His
Well, you
finger
try to-
was
you-
literally slanted.
It was
His
slanted.
finger was slanted in the direction of dialing a rotary phone.
I will pay you $1 million if you find an agent right now that will make that many calls on a rotary phone.
They won't.
Well,
They
And
won't.
you know what? That's a great transition into our next question for you,
Charles-
David. How do you keep them motivated
Charles Gardner.
to do that? There
Charles
you go.
Gardner.
There you go.
There
You
you
got it.
go.
That's it.
So,
How do
man,
you
I
keep
think,
motivated to do that?
yeah, and I'll be honest with you, it's tough. Look, I'm a huge believer that motivation comes from within. You know, and it's funny because I was telling you guys earlier that I'm taking this success coaching platform right now, and I'm getting certified as a success organization coach. And one of the things that we're really focused on over the last couple of days was getting DISC certified. I'm sure you guys are familiar with what the DISC is. And so I'm getting DISC certified, but also getting motives certified. So I'm really, truly getting into understanding the person. And one of the biggest conversations that we had was motivation comes from within. Like when you're reading this, if somebody's completely not motivated by, let's say, money, and they're completely motivated by service, there's no way you're going to motivate them by saying, hey, man, you can make $1 million doing this. It's just not going to tickle them, right? And so, so I think that it's really a difficult thing to do, to take a large group in different cities and keep them all massively motivated. So I'll be honest with you. One of the things that I do is I try to stay in their face and I try to coach them as much as possible. So one thing that we'll do is at least once or twice a quarter, we'll set up a day and do one-on-one calls with each of the agents. These one-on-one calls are scheduled a half hour over time. I've got snacks and drinks right in front of me, and my partner and I do them together, and then we'll break. She'll do one where I'm off and I'll do one where she's off, so we can get a little bathroom break or some lunch or something. But the idea is that we're there. The other part is we have a WhatsApp group for our sales team. We've got the Virginia group, we've got the Florida group, and then we have what we call the Kurz National group. So there's a lot of conversation and communication that happens in there also. And then, and I'll tell you why I'm telling you all this in a second. And then Tuesdays, we have our team meeting, and Thursdays we have a 9 a.m. accountability call, where I pick up the phone, I send them all a Zoom link. We don't get on camera or anything. We just use our phones for sound. And one by one, I call on them and they tell me what has impacted their business this last week. And so we're seeing each other Tuesday. We're speaking to each other on Thursday. We're doing these one-on-one calls. We have this massive communication through WhatsApp. And what that does is it creates a group setting of motivation versus me trying to be the only person that can motivate them. We've got motivators in the entire group, right? So, and every once in a while, you'll see somebody and we encourage them. Hey, you got a positive story or a negative story that happened? Put it in the group, man. We want to hear it. We want to all learn from it. And I think that having that level of communication and having that level of tribe, right? Like, you know, some people call it the tribe, you know, being Marine Corps minded, I call it my squad, right? So, you know, and if I tell you the way my team's set up, you'll crack up. Anthony will die because my team's a platoon, and Alpha Squad's in Miami, Bravo Squad's in Tampa, Charlie Squad is in Orlando, and Delta Squad's in Virginia. And as they begin to grow, we'll separate platoons and we'll separate squads. And the way I do that is I assign squad leaders to each city. And when the team gets to a point where that one squad leader has too many people, we max it at 4 or 5 people, then we add another squad leader and another squad leader so that each leader has an opportunity to coach and enhance 4 people underneath them. And that's how we built our sales team. It's really built like if you looked at an overview of a platoon and how they are divided up, and that there's a platoon commander and then there's a general for the whole thing. That's how we built it up. And I just imagined in my head, I said, you know, if we really did this right, you know, over the next 5 to 6 years, we'd have 4 platoons around the country. And this is not even talking about, you know, the downline or the network or the amount of time that we spend on that, you know.
Have a battalion, dude.
Yeah, you never know, right? And look, I'll tell you, you know, why not? Why not? Why not think that
That's
way?
right.
You know,
Absolutely.
So
you've manifested it, so it will be.
It will be. And I'll tell you that, you know, that's the long answer to your question. The short answer is that We've got high level communication amongst them all, and we encourage each of our team members to participate in motivating the group. We encourage them, come in here, say something. You went on a great listing appointment, let us know. We encourage them to do video. So they'll grab their phones, they'll get in front of their phones, and they'll do a quick 2-minute spiel on, what just happened, and they pump it inside the group, and then everybody watches this, and you'll see responses. Hey, congratulations, great job, so forth, so on. And you can tell that it's genuine,
Good stuff, man, for sure. How about you, Anthony? You said yours is a little bit different of a setup, right? With team and
yeah, I'll tell you. So, I've built my downline organization, and I've been on and off team. I've been team building for 16 years. I mean, I started at Keller Williams building teams, and my peak performance, I'll be honest with you guys, 2011, 12, 13, 14, 3 agents, no website, doing 70, 80 million in volume. That's probably, and that's what I pride myself on that. I talk about that a lot, because the fact was, I remember people were like, "You're crazy, dude." I had 2 badass listing agents, 1 badass buyer agent, and no website. We literally turned off. We had Boomtown in 4 markets at one time, and we just said, you know what? We're gonna pound the phones, and it worked. It worked for a long time. It's good. So that I tell you that because that's kind of like the shop that I ran. I used to be that person where you had to be in the office at 8 o'clock. They had to be 7 o'clock. You had to be on the phones at 8. If you were messing up your phone calls, literally you were doing push-ups. I had people quit my team. They were like, "Dude, you're a drill sergeant." But my lead listing agent one year was making like $400,000 a year. That's where we ran. It's changed. I'll be honest with you. I'm a person that, as a leader, man, I pay attention to a lot. I listen, I learn, I grow daily. And, and I can tell you, I don't know if you guys know Fossil. I can't think of his last name, but he's the top listing agent. We did a podcast with him, Remax in Canada. And man, he hit me like a ton of bricks one day. He said the word evolve. And I'll tell you, I am always evolving. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. I'm an old school, I guess, in a sense, that mindset of, accountability, like you said, motivation, that type of stuff. And, one book that I read and I listened to a lot was David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. And, he talked about guys where you can't motivate people, and that's one that it realized, like, what do you mean you can't motivate people? Because the moment you can get you listen to a podcast, you listen to a kick-ass song, or I used to do the same thing when I want a coaching call. My coach would, I'd be motivated, let's take over the world, and then the next day if something bad happened, you back down. So he really talked about mindset, and I paid attention to that a lot, man. So I did focus. The reason why I have long hair and a beard now and wear all this stuff, it's like I've really got into meditation and mindset and that type of activities in my life. And now, believe it or not, I talk to my agents a lot about that. I honestly, we went the last cycle with the Homes and City group that I'm rebuilding again, where I was like hardcore coach, report your numbers every single day. And to be honest, I wasn't having fun. I don't think they were. I've had my agents tell me, I was literally banging my head against the wall saying, why do these people not want to be successful? So I decided, you know what? I'm going to make them feel good. I'm going to talk like, hey guys, you're awesome. You're amazing. I love what we're doing. And what I did is I shifted a big focus from being a prospecting based marketing enhanced company and team to now a marketing based prospecting enhanced team. So with that said, we really push hard on influencer type models, building people up. The way the world's going, I could be wrong on this. I could be 100% wrong, but the way the world's going with all this technology and want to be Instagram famous and all that fun shit, I've gotten really good at that. I got some great followers on Instagram. I've built Instagram accounts to 100,000+. Now I'm like, guys, come on, look, we're going to go take over cities. We're not going to make phone calls. Y'all don't make phone calls? Let's don't do it. You know what? I don't want to make phone calls either. But you're going to start talking to people in your community. You're going to go walk into that coffee shop. You're going to go walk into this. You're going to go, I got my agents now. They'll go walk into a coffee shop. They throw $100 on the counter and they buy the first 10, 20, 30 people, whoever it is that walks in the door, they pay for those people's coffee. And they love it. They're not crying. They're not telling me that I'm quitting. They're like, holy shit, Anthony, I met 17 people today and 15 of those 17. And then they're taking pictures on Instagram. And that's the model I'm going towards, guys. And then when you ask the question, they'll kind of beat around the bush on it, but how do you keep your people motivated? That is my evolution in this business. And we're going to push hard into that. We're building out a brand called Live Where You Live. Homes and City, Homes and Beach. It's homes for sale, city living. And I'm coming in and I'm taking agents and I'm teaching them how to social media dominate a market by being an influencer. I'll tell you how I happened upon that is that in New Orleans, 2000, shit, I don't even know. I'm trying to think 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. I got divorced, got separated, and I was bored living in a condo in downtown New Orleans. And I started an Instagram account called Eating NOLA. Okay. Food, New Orleans. Okay. If anybody knows anything about New Orleans, it's
food.
It's food.
It's food.
Funny thing about this, guys, within about 3 years, about 2-3 years, it started slow. About 3 years time, I was the number 1 food critic in the city of New Orleans. Literally,
that is awesome, dude.
Literally,
that is so awesome.
Barks Root Beer would pay me $3,000 to take a picture of me drinking a Barks Root Beer.
Nice.
Okay? Oh, it's insane. Okay. So I built this following. New Orleans' population 400,000. I had 150 some odd thousand followers on Instagram, and I was like, I was getting invited to these events, and guys, I have no culinary experience. I couldn't tell you. I mean, look, nothing. But yet these people come to me, Anthony, what do you think about this? And I'm like, holy shit! If I could become an influencer in a food mecca where they had I was on a bus one time for this. I was invited to be a judge for the New Orleans Food and Wine Experience. And these are like the pros. I'm on the bus with pros. And they're like, well, tell me what publications you're published in and tell me what books you've written. And I'm like, I got this Instagram and I take these pictures. Okay. But you want to know the funny thing? What hit me like a ton of bricks in that case too, is that these older people were sitting on this bus. They were pissed off. You know why they were pissed off? Because they're sitting here on this old device called a notebook and a pen, and they're writing all these notes. And they're going back to their office. They're going to do this publication a month later. Meanwhile, I'm taking a picture. I'm posting 40 words, and I'm whipping
right now.
And I'll tell you, that light bulb went off. I'm like, if I could dominate a world that I know nothing about, I could sure as shit do it in real estate.
Yep.
And that's
I always ask people, how do you separate from antiquation? Because let's face it, real estate, our industry, it falls so far behind, and there's so many other markets move forward.
It does.
And we fall so far behind. We are so antiquated in the things that we do. So, man, kudos to you, Anthony, for thinking out the box like that, really doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, sometimes it requires us to really think, like you said, the word is outside the box or the phrase is outside the box. You got to step away from real estate and figure it out and plug it all in together. It's really interesting. You did that.
Yeah, so it's not real estate anymore. It's not real estate anymore.
It's everything.
It's marketing. It's consulting. It's coaching.
It's whatever you can attach to it.
Yeah, exactly therapy. It's you name it.
Exactly.
It's in the look. I tell you, somebody summed it up. Tony DeCello, I was coached by him years ago, and I never forget. I was in a room, and he goes, a room of 500 He goes, "What business are you in?" Mm-hmm. And nobody can answer correctly at all. Real estate and home sales. It's like, no, you're in business and be in business. You're a business owner. Now we're in the people business. We're in the people business. The more people you talk to, you could be the worst real estate agent in the world right now. If you talk to enough people, because of this market especially, you will sell homes. Plain and simply put.
I do something similar. I go, who do you work for?
Right.
And you always get the company name.
Right.
Yeah,
always. Well, it's like, people ask that, what business is McDonald's in? And people say all the time,
real estate.
Go look at one thing we don't know about McDonald's. You guys may not know. Everybody who's a franchisee at McDonald's do not own the land. They do not own the land. And then go look at McDonald's. It's on every hard corner, best real estate, piece of land in the city. But what McDonald's did right, they don't give the land to the franchisees.
Yep.
Yeah. With that being said, you guys are obviously taking some serious risks out there as far as, diving into different business aspect that sometimes has apparently nothing related to what you're doing. Like in the case with Anthony, the whole food thing, right? So here's the question for you guys here. So what's the most important risk that you guys have ever taken and why? Anthony?
Oof.
I'll tell you, I'll be honest. My biggest risk was leaving Keller Williams for me, because I'll tell you, I was kind of I hate to say a big deal. That's a dumb word, but it's like I did a lot of business with Keller Williams, family reunion. When they say like Keller Williams, like when you say you call it family reunion, it literally was like I would go and vacations with these people, like these mastermind groups that I was in. I mean, we would fly like, my coaching group was Keller Williams only. We flew to New York. We rented like the suite, and then we go see, like, I remember one of my craziest, most expensive days of my life ever was Yankee Stadium, owner's suite. And then that night we went and seen Justin Timberlake and Jay-Z and sat front row center stage. And like I said, it's probably the most money I ever spent one day. It was obnoxious. Okay. But the fact was, these were all Keller Williams people. And literally, it took a lot for me to like say, holy shit, I'm going to go with this. I was the first EXP agent in New Orleans. And I had a friend that was in Dallas, and I'll tell you what drew me in. I was like, holy shit, what's that revenue share amount you just posted? And I'm like, to myself, I'm like, okay, if she could, but that was my biggest risk. I mean, we've tried a lot of stuff, threw a lot of shit against the wall, and I wouldn't consider that a risk, because I think real estate, to be honest with you, I know me personally, I can walk into any market, I could get a phone, I can get the internet connection, and I can start selling real estate. My biggest risk was leaving that comfort zone. A lot of friends, and it was interesting. Some of these people I haven't talked to since I left Keller Williams. Wow.
I got to say, Anthony, when I saw the hair, the beard, and everything, I was like, "Damn, that is right there, Justin Timberlake." I knew it.
Hey, more Jay-Z, but I tell you what, dude, he actually blew me away. I was like, son of a bitch, this dude can sing.
He's really, man. I'm with you. I'm
more of a,
if we
get technical, I'm more of a Pantera guy. I'll be honest.
What about you, David?
Oh man, I'm sort of a risk taker. My wife is always like she freaks out sometimes, and I think now we've been married long enough that when I say something, she's like, yeah, all right, But honestly, I feel like some of the biggest things that have been big risks for me were really big, impactful business changes. For instance, just separating from the military after 9 years, like I got a bachelor's degree. I was on my way to a master's, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get out and do something, like get my corner office somewhere. And then of course I became a realtor. Right. And then of course, being at KW, I moved to Douglas Elliman, not a big deal. And from Douglas Elliman, my big thing was that I opened up my own company. And so for me, that was huge, because I ran this team with my wife. She wasn't my wife at the time, but I ran this team with my wife. And when I decided that I wanted to open up this company, I looked at her and I said, listen, you're going to have to take over the team, and I'm going to completely separate myself from sales. So, and that's a huge risk when you're the rainmaker, right? And you go open up a company and you say, I'm going to do this big. And of course, being who I am, I went and rented like 3,000 square feet. And 2 months later, I got the next 3,000 square feet next door. So we had a 6,000 square foot office in Coconut Grove here in Miami. And 3 years later, we were 3 offices and over 200 agents. And that just, it proved me right, but it's a huge risk. And my ideology behind that was, it's going to be impossible for me to grow to the point that I want to grow if I'm knocking on doors and opening doors and showing properties and sitting and listing appointments and so forth and so on. If I want to open a brokerage, it has to be because I want to be a leader, a coach, and let's face it, a recruiter and an attractor. And so because I was able to dedicate 100% of my time to that, and my wife was able to take over the team and run the sales team, it made our real estate company very successful, And then of course, one day, Kevin Cottrell and Gene Frederick knock on my door, and and long, short story, we convert 160 agents into EXP, and here we are.
Wow,
so that might have been a little bit of a risk too. I remember the heart palpitations that I was going through when I was handing over the keys to the office that I spent like $100,000 remodeling.
I tell you, David, you'll appreciate this. I'll tell you one of my risks. You made me think about the military angle. So when I was kind of in that phase, I had my real estate license. I was starting to do some real estate. My colonel calls me into the office and he goes, Dazet, I want you to go to Iraq with me. And I was an E5, and I know an E5 in Iraq is no hell way. I'm not doing it. I was starting real estate. I was making good money. And I said, sir, no. And as well as I, you don't tell a full-bird colonel no. Okay. Yep. And that's what started. I was probably one of those. I called my wife at the time. I'm like, holy shit. I just told my commanding officer, no, what you don't do is an E5 to a full bird colonel. I got to get the hell out the Army. And that started my push. And you want to hear the funny part? Here's the funny part, guys. This is irony slapped in the face, okay? Colonel Ron Johnson, that was his name. So I sold a house to a full bird retired colonel in New Orleans. He was from Virginia Beach, flew in, bought a house from me. He invites me over to Christmas, okay? Go to Christmas. Guess who's sitting on the couch in this guy's house? Colonel Ron Johnson. Hadn't seen the man the day. I'm like, how the hell you doing? I said, man, you want to know a funny story? He's like, he didn't remember me telling him no, which I find intriguing. But how funny is that? Okay. Like literally the guy sitting there, I told him that story. And so when I say a mentor who got you in, it's when I said inadvertently an Army guy kind of got me into real estate. Colonel Ron Johnson.
Nice.
Did they know that you were doing real estate? I know I'm going sidebar, guys. I'm sorry, Dennis.
That's all right.
Like, did they know that you were doing real estate? See, they didn't like it, and that's something that's why that's become a passion piece for me, because they didn't like the fact that you're going out there doing big things. So now they want to take you to Iraq and pull you away from that, and that's become a real big passion piece for me.
It is, dude.
I got
just go right into it, David.
I got stationed in Hiroshima, Japan, right? And listen, I'm born and raised in the Bronx. I don't have any real entrepreneur leaders in my family. Like, you know, being an entrepreneur for me, I'm like first generation, like I'm about to do this, you know? And it's in my soul, man. And I remember I got stationed in Hiroshima, Japan, and I was kind of lost because I was like, look, I don't speak Japanese. I don't know where to hang out, this and that. And I was walking in Hiroshima, and I walked by this nightclub, and the door opened up and Spanish music came out the door. Now I'm Puerto Rican, right? So I turned back and I'm like, what in the world is going on in there? Anyhow, long story short, I made friends with the people there. I opened up a nightclub in Hiroshima, and I ran this nightclub every 2 weeks. And I was profiting anywhere between 20 to 30,000 yen every 2 weeks. And my CO caught wind of it, and all of a sudden said, there's some Marine Corps regulation that they blew the dust off of that said Marines weren't allowed to work on an off-base establishment that served alcohol. And I was like, what? So I couldn't be even a waiter at a Red Lobster outside the gate, you know? So they found a way to pull me out from this success. And that to me, it just hit me home. And that's why that passion's there, Anthony.
Well, I'll tell you, David, it's something that we talk about in like Southern Louisiana, man. It's called crabs in a basket. Okay. You know, and it's an entrepreneurial piece too, you know, and again, the military they were like, I was an IT guy. I ran the whole entire network infrastructure, and literally they went through and I hate to knock it like this, but I'm gonna tell a story anyway, because I think there's a topic that needs to be addressed sometimes. And they were like, man, you're searching real estate websites. Oh, during your time working with us. You know, and it ultimately pushed me out, but it was, man. It's like that crab in a basket there. It's like many of my friends, when I got into real estate, they're like, what do you mean? You're going to sell real estate for a living? And if you guys don't know the crab in a basket, essentially, you know, you tell the story, you never put a lid on a crab basket. And why y'all think it is? Because the moment crab
no one's getting out.
The other one pulls it back down. And that's what, you know, I tell this story all the time no one in my family was an entrepreneur. Okay. Same thing. I made more money in real estate entrepreneurialism than all of my family made combined, like my immediate parents and all. But with that said, you know, a lot of the people, you know, now that said you're going to sell real estate are now in real estate. And one thing I find that's really funny, guys, is that, you know, as a kid, what do your parents tell you? Grow up, go be what you want to be. You want to be a damn firefighter, go be a firefighter, baseball player, football player. But by the moment you don't go to college, they're going to raise hell. The moment you go say, you know what, I'm going to be a real estate agent, they raise hell, you know? So it's funny the way the world works. Again, it's kind of like the evolution of my thought process and all this is that, you know, being a real estate agent is not an easy gig. It's not. It's the hardest job I've done. I've done some shitty ass jobs, man. And it's the most mindset consuming, hardest job I've ever done. And that's why, you know, I've really shifted into that feel good feeling when doing this stuff.
And the most rewarding, right?
It is.
Oh man,
it's the most rewarding business in the world if you can figure it out. And it's really not that hard to figure out. I think a lot of people just make it harder than it really is.
Yep.
So you guys kind of both touched on this already, but how do you feel your military training has helped you be a career realtor, that you want to help other veterans to hear this story and possibly take a look at this as a awesome career path choice, you know?
I think, you know, for me, I'll be real honest with you. Like Anthony was saying, as soon as you tell your parents you don't want to go to college, and then all hell raises. For me, it was a little bit different because my mom had this dream of me becoming like this star attorney one day, right? My whole life. And then I was a knucklehead teenager. So the day that I told her I was leaving the Marine Corps, I think she looked up and shook hands with God, you know? And, you know, she couldn't have been happier that I was leaving to the military. And for me, the Marine Corps was life-changing. And it's not always like that for a lot of people, but for me in particular, joining the Marine Corps was life-changing. It really taught me a lot of wonderful, responsible things. And when you join the military 18, 19 years old, you don't have all that stuff. It's not seeded in you, you know? And you get out of boot camp and all of a sudden you're a 20-year-old or a 19-year-old that's significantly stronger in your mind than anyone you know your age. Like you can't even go back home to visit your friends because you don't click anymore. Nope. Your mind has completely grown in a very short period of time. And with that being said, I think that the military itself showed me how to be massively responsible, how to go for what I want, how to never quit once I set my eyes on a goal, how to not slack and be, you know, and be redundant or a failure or banging my head against a wall. Like that's just not an option for us, you know? So I'm in the process of writing my third book, and the book is called Failure is a Lie. And so, you know, and one of the preface and the opening statement of the book says, if the Marine Corps motto was fail forward, how safe would you feel? Right. And so when you think about that could never be our motto. Like Marine Corps motto is first in, last out, you know, semper fidelis, always faithful, you know, and that's the way that I treat my life, my family, my business. You know, that's the way I focus on my real estate career. So no matter what happens, you know, because shit happens, guys, no matter what happens or what deal falls apart or whatever, yeah, you're gonna get frustrated. You know, it's all part of the process. But if you never quit, you can't fail. And I think that's the biggest piece that the military did for me that has enhanced my real estate career.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'll say I'll second all of that, man. I'll tell you, I was a knucklehead teenager too, and if it wasn't for the Army, I don't know where I'd be, because my friends that I hung out with every day in high school are dead, jail, and some are out of jail now because they did their time, kind of thing. But yeah, my parents really, you know, none of my parents went to college, and so it was never like college was on the table for me. I went to college later on because of the Army, you know. And I'll tell you though, but that's just, it's self-discipline. You know, realizing that, you know, hey, if I say I'm going to do something, and I'll tell you every morning, I don't know how you are, David, but every morning when I had to wake up and go run PT, I hated running.
Oh, man.
When I joined the Army, I don't think they told me I had to run that much. I think they lied to me. I could be wrong, but I hated, guys, I'm 5'6". I'm stocky. My legs are thick, not long. Okay. I am not a runner. Okay. I should be a fullback is what I should be. Okay. You know, and I'm running with these good old country boys that like, and but I'll tell you every day, but you were right that you nailed it. When I went back home, I'm like, man, these don't get it. And I'll tell you, I took that same thought process into real estate. My friends to this day still don't get me. When I bought my first Porsche in 2013, I went into the Porsche dealership and paid cash for a Porsche Panamera Turbo S. I drove up to the Saints game with that brand new Porsche. They looked at me like I did something wrong. Okay. But that's that, you know, right. That discipline that I had, I learned, and, you know, in the Army and that starting point. And what I did realize is that, you know, when I worked my way through the Army and doing what I was doing, I was like, man, this isn't for me. When I read that next book, that Robert, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I was like, you know, because people tell me all the time, I did 16 years Army. They're like, why you didn't finish the 4? And I said, when you got time to drink a coffee and I'll talk to you about it, I'll tell you why I didn't finish that 4. You know, because I figured out this isn't for me. And look, it was very beneficial during the time that I was there. But I figured out, and I knew there was a bigger fire that was going to be lit in my life And I had just to move past from that part. Because if I'd have sat for 4 more years in the Army and finished out, because let's be honest, I mean, you do it because you get insurance, okay, or things like that. I made so much money in that 4-year span because of my drive and determination that I never did look back. Never did look back.
Yeah, I think
Hey,
you and
Anthony.
I sat on the same plane. When I hit that 9-year mark, I kind of said to myself, if I cross over 10,
Yeah.
that's you already broke. You're over the hump now. You're coming down the other side, you know?
Yep.
And I was afraid that I would make the decision that I had to stay.
I have a question for both of you now. In regards to, because with you, David, you had almost 200 agents before you came over to EXP. Same thing with you, Anthony. I mean, you're building all this, the teams, the structure, the rev share and whatnot. How has your previous business and transitioning to where you are today, or even the last few years as you're continuing to build out, financially, how does that look at this point?
You want to start, David? You good?
Yeah, sure. So for me, it's a significantly better position. I think, and look, when you look at it, I never did bad. I mean, I had the brokerage, I had a top selling team in the luxury brokerage. I started teams in this Keller Williams office, and when I made this transition to EXP, it allowed me to do something extra special. And that was build a team that is not pigeonholed to my city. And because of that, just prior to this, I was on the phone with an agent in Mexico that's going to join us, or in a Zoom with an agent in Mexico that's going to join us. And they're not going to join my team, but they're going to join my network. Therefore, they get direct access with me and we get to chit chat and do the things that we do. But, it's such a significant difference. But just like anything else, Jay, if you don't work it, if you don't put it to work, it's not going to happen. Right. So I let people know, look, there are different levels of happiness for everybody. When I had my brokerage, I came to this true realization that there are some people that are okay with selling 4 houses a year, like okay with it. Those 4 houses a year pay the bills. They can go to all their kids' baseball games. They don't sacrifice any family time. They're home for dinner, breakfast, and lunch. And that's okay. And I had to realize not everybody wants to do 4 a day. I'm thinking 4 a day, and they're thinking 4 a year. And so when I came to that realization, I realized that everybody has a different level of where they're at, because if you're at the 4 a day guy or gal, then you're going to sacrifice somewhere else. And typically it's home and family and everything else, right? Most of the time, health as well. So what this has allowed me to do is not sacrifice family as much anymore. Because I work from home, I could flip this camera around right now. You'll see my wife working on the other side of my desk. So I spend a lot of time with my wife, which I absolutely love. And I just, it's a blessing. It's truly a blessing, unless I'm traveling to see the teams or go speak somewhere, or, meet a big team that wants to make a transition or something like that. I'm home. And that's huge, man. That's huge. And next year we're not thinking that. We made the decision we're going to move. We just got to take care of some things, but we're moving to Puerto Rico next year. Ooh, and for a ton of reasons, obviously, but there's the tax breaks, there's this and that. But I got this ongoing joke with my wife. She's 10 years younger than me, and her grandmother's like 98 or something. And I told her, I said, man, with your blood, I need to live to 110, because I'll be damned if I go before you. And so I said, so moving to Puerto Rico is going to hopefully add some years to my life, but it's also, more than financially. Yeah. Are we in a better financial position than we were when we owned the brokerage? Yes. Am I a lot happier now? Yes. Am I going through the same amount of stress as I was when I had the brokerage? No. I mean, I can't even tell you how many pounds lifted off my shoulders the day I announced we did this, So big difference.
Awesome. Everybody's moving to Puerto Rico. Last night, Dennis and I were chatting with a few of our other members, and the guy just sold his yacht and now just bought a new place in Puerto Rico overlooking the water. Everybody's heading down there.
Yeah, they are. We did go.
Anthony, what about you, buddy?
I'll tell you that financially, I don't make as much money as I used to selling. I'll tell you, but like David, I'll reaffirm my life is so different that I literally have taken a page from Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Work Week. And I spend, it's probably a little more than 4 still at this point, but I'm a downgrade to that more as we go. But I'll tell you, my biggest thing that I did was I truly shifted from E to P. If you guys aren't familiar with that, entrepreneurial to purposeful. I mean, that is 3 words that'll sum up exactly what I did, exactly what I live. And I am lured back in at times of saying, build a team, grow this. Like I moved to Hot Springs and Little Rock is 30 minutes away. And I'm like, dude, I could dominate this market. I could come in here and take over and sell 200 homes. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it because I have a plan. And that's something that I coach up to everybody. It's like, I have a plan. I'm sticking to it. I know what those numbers are. I know how many people I have to bring into the business. I know what I have to do every single month to continue to grow. And that's it. And now, like David said, health. I mean, I'm 50 pounds lighter than what I was when I was selling real estate. I am significantly stress free. I meditate multiple, hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day sometimes. I couldn't have done that before when I was selling real estate because I couldn't even quiet my mom enough to even finish my coffee, more or less.
No way in the world, man.
No, at all. I mean, I tell people all the time, people tell me all the time, Anthony, there's not enough time in the day. I'm like, there's too much time in the day. If you looked at my schedule right now, you'd laugh, because it's like I literally, between meditating and working out, that's 4 to 5 hours a day for me. If you had told me that in 2010, 11, 12, I'd be like, dude, you're nuts. I ain't got time to even use the bathroom. It's about meditate for and I tell you.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. I came in late, so I'm not sure.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you could. But with that said, that's been a big shift, and we do. I tell you, David used the word pigeonholed, man. I tell you, I use that word all the time because I'm that person where I go down a rabbit hole deep sometimes with ideas, but. Being pigeonholed into to a specific market, like your ability now to branch out into multiple markets, move to Puerto Rico, man, that's what this is all about. That's what all this is about.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And look at that, we are on schedule, on time.
Boom!
You guys are freaking amazing. It
must be a military thing.
That's a military thing, right?
I don't even know how we're on schedule because I feel like we've gone off on tangents.
Dude, I know. Like my first answer, we were like 15 minutes in. I'm like, we're in trouble. We're in trouble, dude.
No, but
guys are
gentlemen,
awesome,
good stuff. Definitely,
so
Ben and I.
Both you guys.
Thank you for being a part of this. For those who are on this call right now on Zoom, certainly on YouTube and on Facebook as well, because this is being broadcast live in all venues right now. The recording is going to be available in the next 48 to 72 hours, the actual finished product of it. You'll get a copy of it and it will go live for everybody else to see as well. We'll be having another broadcast in 3 weeks, right, Dennis?
August 5th.
3 weeks now? Right.
August 5th.
And just a shout out to... Yeah, just a shout out. Our next guest is going to be Tom Trung. And if for those of you who don't know the name, well, I don't know where you've been. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I can guarantee you, anybody on this call, anywhere on YouTube or Facebook or wherever this thing is being broadcast right now, if you are not heard of Tom Trung, then frankly, again, I don't know what to say to you. It's that simple.
Your rock.
Right. But
That's
Anthony,
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
David.
Anthony.
Thank you so much, guys. Definitely
Thank you, Jay and Dennis, for having us, man. Really appreciate you guys for doing this, and really love being able to mastermind with another military brother. So
yeah, man,
awesome.
Same.
Good. Well, you guys will
guys.
swap numbers and continue the friendship, I'm sure.
Yeah, David, I added you.
Sure.
We weren't friends on Facebook, which is odd. I think I got every real estate agent, but I added you, David. So I got boy.
I'm gonna look for it. I'm an IG guy though, so I'm find you there.
Oh, dude. Hey, you want to talk about if you're an IG guy, we got to talk, dude, because that's my jam is Instagram. All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.